Hello everyone and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we're taking a look at Deluxe Class Decepticon Blastoff. I can't really decide if he's Combiner Wars, if he's Power of the Primes. Up here it says Prime Wars Trilogy. On this side it says Combiner Wars, and on this side it says Power of the Primes. Now I'm kind of inclined to put him in Combiner Wars because that would make sense. That's when the rest of the Combaticons were released. But I guess, well, we can at least agree it's Prime Wars Trilogy, right? The story with this toy, when the Combaticons came out as part of Combiner Wars, we got a repaint of one of the aerial bots as Blastoff. I guess Hasbro didn't want to put the effort into making a new mold because they didn't have a good way to reuse it or something like that. I'm not really quite sure the story there, but I do know that in Japan, Takara did make a space shuttle toy to be used as part of the Combaticons. So when they released their Bruticus box set, because in Japan all the Unite Warriors Gestalt teams were released in big box sets. They didn't have individual releases. So at the time, if you wanted the new mold, you had to buy the entire Bruticus box set. Well, years later, Hasbro has now decided to release that version of Blastoff on its own in this kind of special packaging. So you can see here we have this window that opens up and you get to see the figure in the box instead of being in a bubble on the card. And you have a little bit of, I kind of really like that picture of Superion in the background. But it says, courage is stronger when combined. And in the Combiner Wars, teams of Autobots and Decepticons combine to form giant super robots called Combiners and battle with the fate of the universe in the balance. So I guess that would lend more to him being part of Combiner Wars. Plus it says it on the inside when you open it, so... Alright, we'll officially commit to Combiner Wars, even though it says Power of the Primes on the back here. So here's the back, and just to confuse it a little bit more, he does come with a Prime Master. Again, just to confuse you, he's straddling the line between Combiner Wars and Power of the Primes. But you can see, nice looking robot mode here. Here is the Space Shuttle mode, looking very nice like in the color scheme. Decepticon Blastoff. Decepticon Blastoff is perfectly happy blasting those inferior Autobots from the depths of space or on the surface of a planet. He combines with his fellow Combaticons to form the mighty Bruticus. So there you go. Pretty neat. I really do appreciate that they've decided to release this toy so I don't have to track down a Bruticus box set and I can just get the one part of Bruticus that I'm not technically missing but will now be more accurate. So I think that's fun. I really applaud Takara for, making the figure back in the day when it made sense to make it instead of just repainting Aerial Bot, one of the Aerial Bots. So if they hadn't had the wherewithal and the fortitude to say, no, we want it to be cartoon accurate, because they really strive for cartoon accurate color schemes, paint jobs, design, all of that. They really want to be as cartoon accurate as possible. So I applaud them for kind of digging their feet in the sand and saying, no, we're going to make a space shuttle, because he was a space shuttle, he wasn't a jet. So now Hasbro has finally given us that figure. So very excited. There's a little Megatronus Prime Master in there. So I got this on Amazon. It was $24.99. I pre-ordered it when the pre-order was available, and then it just arrived for me on Saturday. So they have a couple of these in this kind of special packaging. We're getting Repugnus, which is the third of the monster bots that we don't have yet. We have Grotesque and Double Cross / Twinferno already, but they're giving us a Repugnus to round out that trilogy. And also there's going to be a Punch Counterpunch, which I'm really excited for because he was always one of my favorites as a kid. So I'm liking this. I don't know if these are going to show up at retail or if these are Amazon exclusives or just exclusives from other online retailers, because they don't really fit the normal price points. So it would be difficult to see them released at retail just because they're more than normal deluxes, but they're less. Well, I guess they are technically kind of now getting close to Voyager class prices with the $25 or $24.99. I guess that is technically, I don't know, some places have Voyagers for $30, some have $25, so I guess they could technically release this at retail as a Voyager, but we'll have to wait and see. For right now, I got this on Amazon. I believe it is still available if you go to Amazon right now and try to get it. I believe it is still up for $24.99. Some of the other ones are also available for pre-order still, so enough jabbering. Let's get this guy out of the box. Let's take a closer look. Alright, so here he is straight out of the packaging with everything he comes with. As you can probably tell, he is very badly mistransformed. I assume this was done just to manage space and everything in the packaging, but I'm going to put all his accessories off to the side for a moment, and we can take a look at kind of getting this guy correctly transformed. So down here you can see these thrusters. This section is going to come up and then click in to form feet in the front. When you come around to the back, you can fold the wings out a second. These will actually rotate around 180 degrees. And then you can fold those wings back in. Again, not a huge problem, and you could leave it the other way if you wanted it to, but this is how his robot mode is supposed to look with the legs. Now, with the backpack piece, you actually rotate this down. This piece, the nose cone, rotates in like that, and then this whole thing rotates down. And you can see here, and I'll try to show you, right there, there is a tab, which will tab into this hole here as it accordions in on itself. And then it will fit into these indentations here on the back. So as it rotates in, it'll fit in there, and then you just kind of push these in. So there you go. Now he is properly transformed into his robot mode. And I have to say, he looks good. I like him a lot. I really like the color scheme. I think they did a nice job. The eyes look like they have light piping, but they actually do not. That is paint. It's just a very nice kind of light purple paint. Kind of the same color here on the forearms. Very bright. So I like that a lot. I like I think this is paint on the front. I don't believe it is a sticker. I think that looks really fun. I like the colors there. I think that backpack works well. It really collapses up. Now, I may be incorrect, but I believe with the original Japanese version of this toy, they actually had this as the front, so that they would spin the waist around 180 degrees and spin the head around 180 degrees and have this be the front of him. But I definitely agree with Hasbro that this should be the front. I like the look of this a lot better. I like that purple. I think it looks really good. Articulation wise, the head kind of rotates in and out on this hinge here, and that's really for when you need to bring in the combiner plug. Otherwise you can push that in and then that should just go there. Now there is a ball joint where the head is actually connected to this piece, so when you push that all the way down you can still move the head around on a ball joint. You have a ball joint in the shoulder. There is a bit of a joint here, but that's really for the transformation, so really you just have the ball joint in the shoulder. You have the bicep swivel. You have kind of two, I guess it is really only one joint, but you can see it's almost 180 degrees of articulation because of the Combiner Wars aspect when you're transforming into an arm. So that'll come into play later. But nothing in the wrist. You do have a swivel here in the waist that is very tight though. You have a ball joint in the hip, thigh swivel, 90 degrees in the knee. And then the ankle does have a tilt, as you can see, which is nice. So you can kind of stretch his legs out and tilt it if you like. And he does stand very well. And then this comes into play later with the transformation, but you can see how this piece works. But the tilt is actually right there, right in here. But yeah, it all works great. I really like the robot mode. I feel like he doesn't have a ton of kibble. The wings on the legs don't bother me at all. I think that looks cool, actually. And this on the back, I think it compacts enough that it's not ridiculously in your way or anything like that. So really, really nice. I'm going to bring his accessories back in now. He has a very basic little gun, which you can pop into his fist. And he holds that very easily. He does have a really nicely silver painted connector port here for the arm/leg, depending on what configuration you wish to put him in. So if you pop this out, and then obviously you can transform this into a hand like we're used to. But this is all really nicely painted silver on the front here. So I think that looks really cool. So there's that. And then of course there's the little Megatronus Prime Master. Really nice paint job there on the head. I like that. And the arms. He's got that kind of limited ball joint in the arms that all Headmasters, Titan Masters, Prime Masters, whatever you want to call them, have. And then, of course, the double joint in the hip and knee so that they can transform. And then here's a really awesome Megatronus. I love that. You can see the influence of the Decepticon symbol there on the edges. Really cool. The translucent red looks great. Really, really nice there. So I love this guy. My only complaint with this set is there's nowhere to hook him to blast off, because he has one of the older Combiner Wars versions of these, so there's no place in here to plug him into. So he just kind of riding shotgun, just hanging out. He has no way to really interact with blast off the way most of these work now. You can put this in his hand if you wish to use this as a large blaster. I wanted to show that off. And you can knock him over too. So I will notice, or I should say, I will note, point out, whatever you want to say, he does have a ton of places to connect guns. It's the same gun port. You can plug it in out here to his knuckles. He's got this connector port here inside the thruster. He's got it here on the side of the wing. He's got it technically in his nipples, in his chest, which is very strange. So he's got a ton of places to connect these. I don't think these are just screw holes. So he's even got them here on the underneath part of his forearm. You can see he's got it there too. So technically each arm slash, well, forearm slash fist, because it's all one piece, has 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you have 5, 6 on the leg, and 7. So 14 points where you can plug weapons into this guy. That's nuts. That's crazy to me. But it's fun. It should make for some good, crazy armaments. If you have a ton of weapons, you can put them all together and get this guy going. So very, very cool. Like I said, love the Megatronus. Just wish, especially with these two, I really feel like this was meant to plug something into his chest so that you could transform this guy and pop him in there. I feel like that's what that was meant for, but I guess we'll never know. What you do get is very nice. But let's go ahead and get into the shuttle transformation. Shuttle transformation is actually fairly simple. You're going to go ahead and you can pop this section back. Go ahead and rotate this back up. And then kind of push it forward and get this ready. And that'll just kind of hang back there for a moment. You can pull these wings out and then swivel these back around if you don't already have them this way. Like I said, you could easily have them either way on the back of the legs, and it doesn't really matter. You're going to bring up the feet, and they will swivel around onto the back here. And then you're going to kind of get the arms out of the way and line this up, and then you're going to unhook these, and then they'll collapse in on themselves, very similarly to how most Combiner Wars toys work. There is a little tab on the inside right here, which is going to tab into this slot here on the waist. So do that, click those in, and then just sandwich everything together and make sure everything clicks and gets pushed together. And then you can see you pretty much have the whole rear section of the shuttle. You're going to straighten out the arms and then pop them down on this joint that I showed you earlier. And then this tab, you can see that there's a tab here, is going to peg in here on the side. So bring this down and peg those in on both sides. There we go. And then you just bring this part down. You can see the two tabs here, and they're going to peg into these two slots here and here. So just bring this down and tab that in and tab that in. Technically, you're supposed to turn the robot head 180 degrees. It doesn't really matter. Let me unhook this and I'll do that. Actually, I guess it does. You want to turn it around 180 degrees before you push this down. And the reason I say it does matter is because what you're supposed to do, you can see the connection port right there. You're supposed to peg the gun in underneath. And if the head's not turned around, it might get in the way. But you can see that little knob on the gun acts as like a wheel for landing gear. So here is the shuttle mode. I think it looks pretty good. You can take this and plug it into this hole in the top if you like. If you like the look of that. I personally do not, so I'm going to take it off. It's not the best space shuttle transformer I've ever seen, but I think it totally works. I love the color scheme. It's definitely G1 blast off reminiscent, absolutely. You don't really see too much of the robot mode underneath, so I appreciate that. And overall, I just think it looks fun, and I like it. And I'm glad that we finally have this after all this time of it being Japan only, because they wanted to give us the jet repaint, which I have to say was kind of lame. I always thought, I mean, it wasn't terrible, and I could live with it for a while, but I'm definitely happy to finally have this. So I'm going to transform him back into robot mode and then transform him into his arm mode, because it's much easier to go to the arm mode from robot than from vehicle. Alright, so transforming it into the arm mode for Bruticus is very simple. You're going to push the legs together. Now at this point, if you want to have them out to the side or swivel them back in, it doesn't matter. I think the directions show that they have you swivel the tail fin back into the middle. It really doesn't matter. So I'll just do as the directions show. And then fold this back up, and then there you go. The whole bottom section is together. You're going to spin this. Let's see, you want this section in the front, so you spin this 90 degrees like this. You're going to lift this back out. You're going to lift this section up and up like this, and then bring it back in against the body. And the reason you want this up is so that you can turn the head around and then just kind of recess it in there so it has somewhere to hide. You're going to bring the arms down as well as you can, and then just kind of fold these around and they just kind of hang. You just have to be careful of the plastic of this piece as you bring the arms down. And if you want to just open these up a little bit more, you can, so they're not quite in the way. And then, of course, pop out the connector port and get your fist ready. And pop that in. And then there you go. You have the arm of Bruticus. Here is our Combiner Wars Bruticus finally complete with his correct blast off arm. I think he looks great. I've always thought this one, they did a pretty good job, especially with Onslaught being a repaint / remold of Hotspot. I thought they did a pretty excellent job of giving us this Bruticus, and I really do like the look of him, and I'm excited to have the kind of true shuttle version of Blast Off. Not that the other one was terrible, it was perfectly acceptable at the time, but now that I have this, I am really happy, and I think it looks really good, fully complete like this. I think this guy's a ton of fun, and I'm glad to finally have him added to my collection. And I apologize, I wanted to show this off earlier, but just a real quick look. Here is the other version of Blast Off that we got. And it's kind of funny how when I first had just this version, I thought, oh yeah, that's fine, that looks pretty good. And now that I have them next to each other, I'm like, this one's really not Blast Off at all. Like, this one is really well done in capturing Blast Off's just design and concept and what he looked like on the show. The color scheme's great. The shuttle mode is obviously much better than the jet. So this one was fine for the time, but I'm glad they kind of went back and, I don't want to say rectified a mistake because that seems too harsh, but just gave us, finally completed our actual Bruticus and gave us this figure that Takara created for us long ago, and we just didn't get a chance to get it until now. I know with other times that Takara had done this with Slingshot, with Wild Rider, with Groove, we got those releases much earlier, so it's weird that they held out on this one for so long, but it's finally done. Your Bruticus can finally be complete, and I'm very happy to have this guy. I think he looks great. Transformation's fun. I love the inclusion of the little Megatronus. I think it's a little weird that there's no way for him to connect with Blastoff. I feel like if you're going to put them together in a pair, they should have some way to be compatible with each other. Alas, they don't. Not a huge problem. Megatronus still looks great and will work with any of your other Power of the Primes toys where they have, Prime Master connections, so all that is good. But I think it's a nice set. I love the packaging. 25, it's getting a little bit up there, but when you think about the fact that Deluxe class figures are usually around $20 now. They've been creeping up that way for a little bit now, and with the movie line and everything, they're pretty much $20 for a Deluxe, and you're getting a little extra. You're getting a really nice amount of paint applications, definitely getting extra love there. You're getting the extra little Prime Masters, so I feel like 25 is a pretty fair price for this set. It's just really up to you whether you can live with the old Blastoff or not. If you wanted to complete this and get this previously Takara only version of this character now come home and available by Hasbro. So I'm glad that Hasbro finally made this available to us. I love this set. Figure's great. Great color scheme. Great articulation. Great transformation. Love the vehicle mode. The extras you get with it are really fun. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you agree with me? You think he's good? You think we should have got this a long time ago? I personally do. But tell me what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching.